and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie, Esther here. And before I forget, I want to make sure to mention that you have until midnight to vote for the top 4 finalists in each category for the Design and Cosmetic contest winners. I'll have the link in the description to vote for that. So that's ending tonight at midnight. But today, before Dead by Daylight left the office, they wanted to let us know they wanted to make this statement updating the tunneling and slugging reduction systems here. Before we break for the weekend, we wanted to update folks on the ongoing public test build discussions, which we have been following very closely since last week's developer update. And we have heard you clearly that the current implementation of the tunneling reduction and slugging reduction systems players have been testing this week feels too punishing for killers. And for the release of Sinister Grace, Sinister Grace is the name of the chapter for the Krasue and Vee the Survivor, we will hold back those features and their associated perk changes to iterate on some adjustments based on your feedback. We will test these features again in an upcoming PTB, and we'll release them live when we believe they are ready. Thank you for your participation in our crucial testing process, and stay tuned for future updates as they progress. So the Crackle Barrel test was given to Dead by Daylight, and they chose to go back to the status quo. I do believe that some form of this is going to come into the game eventually. From my understanding, whenever they do a public test build, which normally, remember, this came out a day later than normal, they would have a PTB start on Tuesdays, and then they would have to submit the patch for certification with the console systems of Xbox and PlayStation by the following Friday. So this PTB came out on Wednesday, and then today, Friday, they would have had to submit their final version. So it could be that they still want to do something like this, that it isn't going to be scrapped entirely, but they don't know where to make the adjustments yet, so they decided to reverse it all. Time will tell. We'll see what happens. If, you know, this winds up being like the Twins rework or the base kit Unbreakable and Finisher Mori systems that were tested and scrapped. I don't think this is going to be scrapped. I think it is going to just be adjusted, but there's a lot in here. So it could be down to the wire with just a couple of days of actual testing that, like, look at this, it's on and on, that they decided that they don't know where to make the adjustments yet. So the best thing, instead of shooting from the hip and making a couple of adjustments, is to wait and be a little more in depth about where they need to make the adjustments for this before pushing it forward. So I don't think it's completely going to be gone, because remember, they've been promising us this since, this is February 2025, when they laid out this initiative of anti-tunneling, right? So this is like, you know, we all knew that they had planned to do this. I guess nobody could foresee that this was how they were going to implement it. See, anti-slugging, anti-tunneling for phase 2, you know, this is a long time in the works. This is 7 months. 7 months of work to come up with this system. So I don't think they're just going to scrap it entirely and just go back to the status quo. I think we will see some version of this eventually, but also, you know, it's probably in their best interest to delay this so that it doesn't torpedo the sales of the Sinister Grace chapter with the Krasue and Vee, because if people are up in arms about this coming in, that could hurt sales for the new chapter. So, you know, it makes sense to delay it, even if it is for, whatever, 7 weeks, for if this were to get implemented as soon as a mid-chapter afterwards, 7 weeks after the release of the Krasue chapter on September 23rd, 7 weeks after that would be the earliest you would see implementation of that. They might have another PTB about 4 weeks after the Krasue is released, test whatever adjustments they've made. But, you know, I don't blame them for rolling it back and just waiting rather than under the gun from Wednesday to Friday, being forced to put in the patch for certification, and not really knowing where the best adjustments were to be made. But I do think some version of this is going to come in eventually, hopefully for the betterment of the game and the community, because, you know, you have to ask yourself, why did they create this in the first place? Like, where's this coming from? So it has to be, you know, a common thread amongst people who have left the community, that slugging and tunneling is a problem, and we just have this revolving door of players who are coming in and going out and coming in and going out. And if this is a common complaint, like for quality of life, as I said, they've had their eye on this since February when they had the designs to create this initiative, that they're trying to stop bleeding players. So they want to try and make the experience more enjoyable for players while not crippling killers at the same time. So, yeah, there's your tricky balance, right? Trying to figure out how to do that where survivors aren't getting tunneled out right away and only getting a couple of thousand blood points, and not crippling killers at the same time, so that they can still compete in such a way where they don't feel hamstrung, but all the players can make it towards the end of the game, sort of, you know what I mean? Or pretty far in the game. Anyway, we'll see where this all winds up, but I understand the reasoning behind doing this. Like, our game's great, and I want as many people as possible to experience it. So it's hard when you don't see a lot of growth, and you see it stay pretty much the same, that the new players are just being replaced. The new players are just replacing the ones who left, right? So, but I am hopeful that they're going to figure this out, and at the end of the day, it'll lead to a better game for everyone involved, and we can grow the game into, you know, the heights that I would like to see it reach. So I'm kind of bummed a little bit that console players didn't even get to test the new system. They just kind of have to go on the words of all of the Steam players for how this worked out. So, but again, I'm hoping that this isn't the end of this system and it gets scrapped like Finisher Mori and Base Kit Unbreakable. I don't think so, but you never can tell. So, yeah. Anyway, that's where we're at today. You don't have to worry about the next chapter having the tunneling and slugging updates if that was something you were fearful that was just going to destroy killer for you. It's on the back burner. Until how long, we don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, let you know what was going on with all this. Let me know what you think. I always enjoy reading your comments, so let me know in the comments what you think about the postponement, at least, if not the scrapping of this system. And that's all I have to show you today. So, as always, I appreciate the time you spent here with me on my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as it helps the channel a ton. And don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life